Well, hello, brothers and sisters. I hope you're ready to meet the most amazing woman on earth. And no, I'm not talking about my wife. She's mine. But we're talking about the Proverbs 31 woman. This amazing description of this godly woman. And yet, there's stuff we must be careful about. Clearly, this author is writing poetry. He's actually using an acoustic. I'm not saying it right. But basically, he is using each letter of the Hebrew alphabet to start each verse, each phrase, if you will. A bit like in Psalm 119, where each section starts with the letter of the Hebrew alphabet in alphabetical order, one after the other. Same thing's going on here with this poem. So there's an effort being involved here. This author wants to first do something poetic. And there's even more to that I hope to show you. An ode to a warrior. A bit like the Psalms, they speak of God as this warrior king who robes himself in battle and fights people and fire everywhere. Same kind of language is kind of being used for this woman. Is she some kind of barbarian, Amazonic woman? No, it's poetry. But even on top of that, when you read what it said about her, the description, you see it never speaks about her relationship towards her husband. How she cares for him, how she loves him. It's all about what she does in wisdom. There's even stuff when you look at it that might be pointing to something else than just a woman. And I'll show you what I mean when we get to it, of course. But for now, like I said, all these details show us that this is more than just every Christian woman should be like this. It's more than that. Don't fall into that trap. It's something more beautiful, greater, and there's so much more that's being said about being a godly woman than just Proverbs 31. So, we are going to take on the first section. Even though it's one big poem, we're going to cut it down into two bite-sized pieces. We will start, of course, by presenting this woman. The author says this: an excellent wife who can find. She's far more precious than jewels. You understand this question is rhetorical. It's meant to provoke a thought of, well, nobody could find such a perfect wife, right? Even the best wife you have has her flaws. But this is supposed to show us something even greater than that. Something to look up to, but like I said, more than just a wife. Now we see that here, an excellent wife, or wife of valor, as some translations put it. And it's really a word that speaks of a warrior, a great warrior who has valor, who has courage and stuff like that. So it's interesting. That's the Hebrew word that he wants to start with when he speaks about this perfect woman. She has this valor of a warrior. And she is like a precious jewel. Now, we've seen this before. And not just we see it in the Proverbs about how a woman can be a jewel, but when it speaks about wisdom, more exactly, incarnate wisdom, Lady wisdom is again and again presented as a great jewel, greater than silver and gold and all that. So it's interesting that he uses that same kind of wording that we've been seeing chapter after chapter after chapter about the greatness of wisdom itself. So this is what I mean, where this isn't just about a wife, but wisdom itself as a great woman. But we continue. We continue with the author now focused on the good she brings to her husband. The heart of her husband trusts in her, and you will have no lack of gain. She does him good and not harm all the days of her life. So here's this husband who can trust in her. All his being, his heart, his person, his inner man has this trust in her, and here's two reasons why. The first is this gain she's going to bring, or no lack of gain. It's one of those words that's more than just getting stuff. We've seen it before in Proverbs, and we're even seeing it in Ecclesiastes, or Kohelet, the writer, talks about this palpableness, this gain that we should be seeking to give kind of meaning to life, of the hevel, the emptiness that's there. And of course, that fulfillment is found in God and not the stuff. Well, again, it's not just she'll bring all the stuff he needs, but really it's about how he will be complete with her. He doesn't have to worry about that. That's why he trusts in her. Another reason, of course, is because she does good to him and not harm for the rest of her days. The Bible really talks about how we, men and women, are called to forget ourselves, to love the other as ourselves, to put their needs before us, and to do good to one another. Now here's a call to my sisters to recognize this should be your reality towards your husband or future husband. Do good and not harm. But again, of course, like I said, it's a biblical call to all to do that for those around us, husband, wife, brothers and sisters. So this is the reality of why he trusts in her. She does good to him, no harm, and she'll always make sure he has what he needs. He'll always provide that palpableness to his life. But how? That's what the rest of this poem is going to be about. She seeks wool and flax and works with willing hands. She's like the ship of the merchant. She brings her food from afar. Well, the first thing I would say, the first thing of this amazing woman, this first adjective is that she is diligent, right? She seeks for this wool and flax. And her work is with willing hands. Her heart is really invested into that. And then this beautiful image of like a ship that goes so far to get the stuff. Think of Christopher Columbus going so far to find that other route to China. What great, huge trips and adventures have happened on ships. She's willing to seek like that. She's willing to put her hands to that effort to bring that food, from no matter how far it is, to again provide what is necessary, what is good and right. It's not necessarily about how hard she works, it is this diligent to care for those close to her. So there's this diligence. Here's the first adjective, like I said. The first way to recognize her. Here's the second. She rises while it is yet night and provides food for her household and portions for her maid. Instead of providing the food, goes back again to that same kind of word of gain. She makes sure that everything's taken care of. So for diligence, I would say we have this efficacious. She'll make sure that everything works, even if she has to get up early to do it. And we'll see a contrast to that later on. But she's willing to get up early to make sure that the household, husband, children, have the food. But then you have also the maidens or the servants of the house. And this word portion might be talking about food, but maybe more the work they have to do, the task that they have to take care of. She makes sure everything's taken care of before the house is even up. She is so efficacious, efficient. So she's diligent, she's efficient. And here's another one. She considers a field and buys it. With the fruit of her hands, she plants a vineyard. Fruit of her hands. Again, gain, provision. She really makes sure her household is taken care of. This considering really speaks of her wisdom. But she sees what's the best field. Is it big enough? Will it be good for a vineyard? Is it too far to go to? Is it too big to take care of? Is it too expensive? Maybe we shouldn't buy it. She has this considering, this wisdom, so she's diligent. She's efficacious or efficient. And she's wise. She thinks things through. She knows what's best to do. She knows that with this field, the best thing here is a vineyard because, well, vineyards with the grapes and the raisins and, of course, the wine you'll have good success in Israel's time. She's very wise. At this point, the author is just going to, again, lift her up as she is and say, she dresses herself with strength and makes her arms strong. Here's more of that language from valor, right? Excellence from before. Here's again when we see this ode to the warrior. Think of those songs where God is talked about being dressed or clothed in strength or power. Now his right hand is reached out in power and strength. And here she's being described like that. Well, you're going to see, it's going to be very useful when we get to the next ones, but we've seen that she's diligent and wise and efficient, but she's also a warrior. She's also to be praised. Like I said, this is more than just being a good wife. This is so much more of being truly infected, if I can say, invested with the Word of God and living it out. So for now, the author is going to repeat himself in a sense. And you'll see what I mean. He's going to say, she perceives that her merchandise is profitable. Her lamp does not go out at night. You see, this is the aspect of the contrast with she gets up early and she goes to bed late because she's so efficient. She's so diligent. She's so focused. But again, this wisdom is shown here. Perceive. Just like consider, same kind of words, that her merchandise is profitable. She'll go sell it. She'll know how to sell it. This we'll see later on. But again, notice the profitable. Gain. Provide. Fruit of her hands. She puts her hand to the plow and good stuff come out of it. That's her. That's who she is. She's active, not passive. Now at this point, as we conclude with the last two verses of our section, we're going to see again some repetition, calling us to focus on specific body part, I can put it like that, and how her cares are for those close and afar. Yeah, here's what I mean. She puts her hands to the distaff, and her hands hold the spindle. And this had to do with machines by which you would make clothes. Think of looms, if you've heard of medieval times, or just this machine made to take the wool, take the flax, and make clothes out of it. But again, her hand is used to do that. There's a repetition going on here. There's something the author wants to say by just throwing this here. There are the hands being active to care for her family. Because these same hands now, she opens her hand to the poor and reaches out to her hands to the needy. So from putting her hands to the plow, in a sense, or to the loom, if you will, to make the clothes for her family, she'll also use those same hands to open them up and give to those in need. As much as she's going to be selling stuff and buying stuff and making money, she's going to be also giving it away when necessary. So again, I say, don't get bogged down by all these little verses and thinking it's about doing exactly that. It's not. This was contextual, poetic. There's even, like I said, an ode to warriors. This is more than that. This is about how in our time, how our society works. Women, my dear sisters, should be seeking out to be that kind of diligent and efficient. Be wise. Putting her hands to the plow to help those close and those afar. Those in need over there and those you love here. It really shows women as actively involved in doing and caring, and that is a beautiful thing. Beautiful thing. And if you are a man, listen to this. One, be provoked to jealousy, to want to do just the same thing, to be just as amazing, as valuable as yourself, as this woman, but also seek such a woman as well. Seek one who is active and wise and involved and participating and generous, like we see right here. Let it speak to us, brothers and sisters. On this note, be blessed.